Okay. We just got finished with Jeff Neasmith from Troon Technologies talking about NFTs, blockchain, Web 3.0. Minds are blown about the possibilities. Ben, what'd you
Yeah.
take away from that?
Yeah, lots of things, but I think it's the speed of the technology and how far ahead technology is right now versus where everyday thought is. I mean, he talked about NFTs for music, for videos, for pictures, for securities. These things aren't even talked about yet in kind of the mainstream media or finance or anything like that. It's so far ahead of where everything is right now. And he says that, this is kind of where technology is leading us. And so many businesses and industries, I think, are going to get disrupted. I think I left it going, I got so much to learn still. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I came away from the call with. You?
Yeah. I came away with there's so many opportunities within this space that what one do you want to pick and go after? Like
Yeah.
it's early. We've talked about this a million times with crypto, and
Yeah.
it's not a matter of if, it's when, and it's
Right.
really when. Well, it's now, and it's exactly where the internet was early stages, right? So
Yeah.
if we knew now what we knew that no, if we knew then what we know now about early internet,
Yeah.
then we could have invested in the right places for sure, right?
Yeah.
Early Google, Microsoft, like
Yeah.
Apple, all those ones. So who are the companies who may not even been invented yet, right? Over the
Yeah.
Web 3.0.
Sure.
So that's kind of what left me with. But yeah, I mean that and a million things, thinking about the way the world is going, and really how exciting it is. I mean, I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
I think there's two thoughts on this, right? You have the
Sure.
people who are afraid of the change and the people who are
Yeah.
excited by the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And we're certainly on that side. So yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely worth a watch.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah,
It's mind changing.
for sure. Okay, well, without further ado, here's the interview with Jeff Neasmith. Well, welcome to Think Heart. I'm Scott Goodfellow. This is Ben Hart. Ben, it's been a minute
Hello.
since we've done one of these. Eh? It feels like it's been like
Jeez.
a month. We
I
took like
forget
a
how to
month
talk to
off.
people. I forget how to
Hey, where
talk
have
to
you
people.
been? Where have you been?
Me?
Eh? I
Hey,
know.
you've been on
No, I know
holidays
what you
all of
mean.
August.
I know. I know. It's true. It seems like it. Well, I'm excited about today's guest and interview because we've been talking about NFTs since we pretty much started this podcast,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I have this burning question because there's this picture of you and I from Australia, 1999, that we're gonna ask our interviewer or Jeff to see how we can NFT this. That way, it's on the market. People want it, and when our podcast is bigger than Joe Rogan's, it'll be worth
Yeah.
something.
That would be
Do you
super
remember that
famous.
picture? Yeah.
Uh, do you have it there? Are
I
we
don't
going to
have
see
it
it
here, but
later?
I'm gonna dig it out. I'm gonna see if I can add it as part of this video. Well, let's just say you had more hair and I had
Definitely.
less Scott, if you know what I'm saying,
That's true.
right?
That's
We were
true.
in good shape on the beach. It was 1999.
Uh,
Life was good. And now
life
here
was
we are talking
amazing.
to Jeff. So without further ado, why don't I pass it over to you? I keep talking and saying his name, so why don't you give him the formal intro?
Okay, excellent. Thanks very much. Certainly excited to talk about NFTs tonight. Excited to have Jeff, our special guest, here to talk to us. Jeff, certainly I'd like you to give a bit of a formal introduction about yourself and who you are, where you came from, a little bit about your company, and then we can jump into it. And, I know we had a bit of a preamble conversation last
Yeah.
week. Talk a little bit about it. You're so far along in the education curve of what NFTs are. Most people I talk to these days kind of equate NFTs to JPEGs. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say. Jeff, maybe tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and thanks so much for coming on.
Sure. Thanks, Ben. Scott, thanks for having me on there. And Yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation today. And as you mentioned, my name's Jeff Neasmith. I'm a partner at Troon Technologies, which is a custom software development, but also blockchain development company. I'm also a partner in Nowware, which is a NFT art, intelligent NFT art marketplace, and I can talk about
Hmm.
that a little bit later.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but my background is software. I've been around since '95 selling shrink wrap software. Went down to Silicon Valley and basically rode the whole software as a service and internet age there, and then also worked for several large enterprise software companies that brought me really into just owning my own software company with other partners I have at Troon Technologies, basically building software and blockchain solutions, and also coming out with their own products. So it's a quick little preamble on who I am there.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. You were doing blockchain before it was cool.
Well, I mean, I actually when I hear people where like I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I
Sure.
really enjoy them. I hear people saying, "Well, when I got in 2011, I go, I remember Bitcoin back
Yeah.
in 2011. That's what blockchain really what people related to back then. People still relate
Sure.
Bitcoin more than blockchain.
Yes.
But it was 2017 when actually I officially really got in there, and it was actually a funny
Okay.
story just because my business partner Paul Dubé, we were getting in a car for a road trip down to Ohio to meet one of our business partners, and he
Hmm.
just said he was on a call with someone for about an hour, and he got
Hmm.
off the phone. I went like, so what was that all about? Because he was just talking about investing in tokens and there's the ICO
Yes.
craze and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And I just said he got off the call and I went like, we're getting into the blockchain, aren't we? And he goes, oh yeah. And so the rest was history there. In 2017,
Yes.
when Troon, we started building blockchain solutions, and we launched a couple companies that way. But that's a bit of a story there.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting. Yeah. It's interesting to see how everyone stumbles onto it or gets involved in blockchain and crypto. And, so we've had a couple of guests on. I know you mentioned you'd seen the Ethereum CEO, Ethereum Corp CEO. We had talked about Bitcoin as well. So we certainly had that journey. As we continue on, one of the things that gained attention and traction this year is NFTs. So, I'm hoping we can kind of take this time with you to break it down as best as we can, and hopefully you can talk to us like we're 5 years old, and give us a good explanation around how it is. I know we left the call last week, Scott and I said to Scott, yeah, but I don't understand. And so hopefully you can take us through that, and let's just start at the base level, and
Sure.
you can start us off with what is an NFT?
Well, the good news is I'm not a software engineer, so I don't actually
Awesome.
try to get into all the nitty gritty of the protocols. I know enough to be dangerous in certain areas, but NFT, I'll say first of all, NFT, non-fungible tokens, has a marketing problem because the name really stinks. People really just go like, what does that mean? But I'll just summarize it. Non-fungible tokens are cryptographic, unique tokens that represent the title, ownership over digital assets. That could be art, music, or even a share certificate, or even a deed to a house. Now, those last two are just coming on the market right now, but we're all hearing about NFT art and even music and whatnot.
Yes.
I should explain quickly what non-fungible means, because again, people are just learning these terms, which really means that it's unique and it can't be replaced with something else. So as an example, Bitcoin is actually fungible, meaning that you can trade one for another Bitcoin, or a US dollar one for one. Rather, a trading card is one of a kind, is that it's non-fungible. You can't trade it for another card it's rare, for example. So if you got rare art like a Monet, there's only one Monet out there, as an example.
Right.
That's non-fungible, so to speak.
Okay.
A better analogy I like to use is the movie ticket is a non-fungible token from a standpoint that it's for a specific movie. It's not for any time. It is for a very specific movie or a specific time. The ownership of an NFT provides blockchain security and convenience, but it's specific with a specific value. So I kind of try to use the example, or airplane ticket is non-fungible as well. So we use it today in everyday worlds, non-fungible things. It's just when you put a digital wrapper around it, it becomes really powerful, which we can get into in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's a good start. So I know certainly I've seen it with images. Lots of digital art has been traded and sold. And as you mentioned, Monet. So like some of these paintings. So what would, if you can maybe walk through maybe an example of what that might be like? Say somebody wants to tokenize their Monet, so to speak. What's the, how does that happen? How would you do that? I know this is not okay, kind of sidebar here, but how would you do that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's several different ways to do this. To be honest, you take the most popular marketplace for NFTs right now, which is OpenSea. You could probably actually get this on the market within 20 minutes if you have everything ready to go. Yeah. So let's take your picture. You digitize your photo of you guys in Australia as an example. Let's use those. You guys looking buff on the beach.
We're doing it right after this, by the way.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So I'll give you the very high level notes of how you do this. So first and foremost, you want to get a wallet ready to be able to, and you need to buy some, and I'll just say, just make it simple for you right now. Buy Ethereum, because you're going to have to mint your NFT. So you need to buy some ETH. You got to get a wallet to get that ETH into. So I would always advise like maybe MetaMask is an easy one. Now you have to buy it first. So you can go in Canada, CoinSquare, or if you want to get an account with them, you can send your funds from your bank account to crypto to CoinSquare, where you can buy Ethereum. You can actually send that Ethereum to the MetaMask wallet, and then the MetaMask wallet you can actually connect it to OpenSea. So you go to OpenSea, you basically you can create a profile that way, and then you connect your digital wallet to it, and then from there you can create your NFT by uploading your image, which I try to do a high resolution photo of that, which you'd want to do. And then what you want to also do is put your metadata in there, such as the details of the photograph, the artwork. You also want to put any other parameters that would be helpful for someone that wants to buy it. And then the other thing is, what you want to do is you create the actual hit the create button on OpenSea, and that basically creates a token for you. And then you need to list the NFT on the marketplace. So you got to go to your collection, which OpenSea provides you a collection where you can present it there, and that's where it's the selling page, and that's where you put all the information for royalties. So royalties being, if you sell it to someone, you can actually perpetual royalties, which is this. I'll just sidebar here. This is one of the aha moments for a lot of people when they get into NFTs. Mark Cuban being one. He just said, I got to try this thing out. He minted on, I think it was Rarible, a little dance he did. But when he said, wait, I'm minting this right now and I'm putting royalties in here that I can basically, if someone sells this over and over again, I get 10% every single time. He just goes, this is game changer. Game changer for entertainment, for a ton of industries. Okay?
Sure.
Because someone sells it, this is how it works. And I think you're going to probably ask about smart contracts, which is in the smart contract, basically if someone buys his dance that he did on Rarible, he gets 10% of that sale. Let's say I think it's sold for $17,000. He gets, $1,700 directly into his bank account. There's no middleman. There's no person shuffling papers behind the scene. It just automatically happens and gets deposited right into his wallet because the smart contract has that. Okay.
Yep.
So that was a big piece of it. And then lastly, but not least, is that, I like to say OpenSea, they call it OpenSea for a reason. It's an OpenSea of sometimes crap out there.
Yeah.
Because you
Sure.
cannot find anything in there because it's so much and so much information. So
Yeah.
marketing
Yeah.
is key to this whole thing. You cannot just
Right.
build it and they will
Yeah.
come, because they won't come. So you got to actually have a marketing sense around this. You got to maybe
Yeah.
even build a community around this. And so that's a part of the NFT ecosystem, is that you want to find good communities where you can actually launch this, because there's a lot of people trying to get in here. And there's a lot of people who have failed at this. Snoop Dogg, he failed
Yeah.
at this.
Yeah.
Because they're not putting the right thought behind the marketing. So
Sure.
that's, in a nutshell, you can do that. There's more you can do on secondary markets, which you can do on other markets on top of OpenSea.
Yeah. You just blew everybody's mind right now. Like everyone's head just exploded.
So
And,
from a standpoint of the
good.
royalties, or
just the process from here to here. I know you understand the process. I mean, as for the royalties in the business, I mean, I think it's so disruptive in so many industries. It's hard to even think about it. You listed some examples there, but massively disruptive for almost every industry you just talked about there. Sorry, Scott, looks like you have something you wanted to say.
Yeah, I think like you mentioned the royalties. I think when you get to that point of explaining it, that's when it blows everybody's mind, right? Because then you can start to see how that really would change the game, right? By using the smart contracts and adding royalties and things like that, right? Where it's like, oh, okay, this is different. You can see how this would work in today's world, right? I think that's where people start to get the connection and see it's really next level.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I just saw, I'll diverge and just give something from the financial crowd for you, because we're going to talk just a little bit like NFTing a share certificate that is connected to dividends that are being paid out to you. So if you guys way better at this than I am here, but like if I'm a shareholder of a particular stock or something, I get dividends paid out on a quarterly basis.
Yeah.
How about every minute?
Right.
How about every 10 minutes? Because you can put that into the actual NFT contract itself and say, the smart contract says, I want money deposited in my bank account every 10 minutes. You could do that if it's automated.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
what the reason why it's a quarter is because of the paperwork that's behind there. There's a lot of paper shuffling behind our human capital that's doing this. That smart contract basically eliminates that. The NFT is basically a static type of document. It holds the actual smart contract of like what to do if you gotta basically get a dividend payment out in the next 10 minutes. But that's the power of what this is. There's so many paper certificates out there. Ownership of like major luxury items like watches. Should be all digital.
Yeah. I mean, like right now, if I buy or sell a security, it's still T+2 settlement, right? So when I sell a stock, I don't actually physically get my cash until two days after I sell my stock. So, from that perspective, we're in the Stone Age. And it was T+3 until about a year ago.
There's a lot of people that don't want that to stop.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that sit in the middle of it for sure, and so lots to be disruptive there. So OpenSea is at the root though an auction market. So once you've got your NFT on there, it becomes an auction market. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so there's it could be your storefront. You could just basically say, part of the minting process is, do you do 101? So Scott and Ben on a beach.
Yeah.
But let me just talk to you guys a little bit about, and we're talking about NFT art here, but the creativity in this marketplace is off the charts. Okay, so just think of that picture of you guys on a beach right now. Now you could actually have a digital artist render that, and then basically at, let's say, December 20th, that picture changes to winter in the background.
Wow.
And then you maybe it plays Jingle Bells in the background, for example. that could actually
Yeah.
do that. It's part of the smart contract code. Just it automatically changes for you. Now you think about how much art could be produced from that, and there's already lots of art
Sure.
there that is
Yeah.
premeditated with a sort of Boolean yes or no. A lot of people were doing this at the election. They had like
Yes.
some pretty prolific artwork, which is that
Yes.
if Trump got in, this is what would happen in the photo. If
Yes.
Biden got in, this is what would happen. But you own that beforehand, and people were like looking at,
Right.
okay, what's the artist going to do here? What's going to happen?
Right. Right. That's super cool. It's unbelievable at how far along it's gotten already. And I know you live in it, so you probably see it moving at an incredible speed. We here are still trying to grasp and grapple with how that would work. And, I think a little bit about it where you mentioned ETH as an example. So are all of the NFTs backed by a cryptocurrency? Is that how they start in their infancy? I know it's probably a stupid question, but is that
No,
how they all start in their infancy?
no, it's a great question. It starts as a digital file, and then you put it on the blockchain. Now, the blockchain can be an assortment of different blockchains. Now, the front runner for NFTs, the protocol for NFTs is Ethereum. But Ethereum has a lot of problems with regard to how it works. First and foremost, it has proof of stake, at least the current version. Now, they just came out with version 2, which is proof of
Yep.
stake, but you probably hear about something we hear a lot, which is like, hey, these NFTs are energy consumptive, and what they're stating is Bitcoin and Ethereum. And yeah,
Right.
Ethereum is less, but it still
Right.
is. There's protocols such as Flow, Solana, and another new
Okay.
one that is Phantom. They're all solutions that are called so-called Ethereum killers. It's just that they've sped up the transaction time, and
Yep.
they're working off proof of stake already. They're working on proof of stake of nodes, and it's like having like a computer server in AWS. That's that kind of energy consumption. It's like it's just a computer system. It's not like these huge mining systems that are mining things. That's when you hear the
Right.
consumption. So the NFT would be basically proofed on a blockchain. Now, for example, my company Nowhere that I'm in partnership with, we're using the Flow blockchain. Flow blockchain.
Okay.
Its fame came from basically NBA Top Shots, which sort of brought on a lot of the NFT mania because
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
because mainstream people could put their credit card down and buy a moment, and it was that easy.
Right.
You didn't have to go get ETH, you didn't have to go get Flow
Right.
tokens, you didn't have to get any of this stuff. It's just like I can put my credit card down and buy a LeBron dunk. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's immortalized.
Yeah.
I've got one of one. Imagine the
Yeah.
first person I got one of one, because that went up to, I
Yeah.
think it was $70,000 for just one dunk.
Crazy. Yeah.
So that was on the Flow blockchain. Dapper
Yeah.
Labs
So
is the company behind
just
that. Sorry, go
before you go past that, I just want to hit on NBA Top Shots and do a little explanation before you go on to the next spot.
Sorry.
That's okay. So essentially, what Top Shots is, it's an image that you get one of one. It's a JPEG image that you get.
It's a video.
Is that what it is?
It's a video,
video.
actually. So it's a video of LeBron James going down the
Yep.
floor and doing a facial dunk on someone. I can't remember which one.
Okay.
There's several of them. And then the NBA has these all, and you can put music to it as well.
Okay. So you own that video. You own that video
Yep.
file. Yeah.
One,
Okay.
and it could be one of one, but like they put 3,000 of these ones out there.
Sure.
And
Okay.
there's a whole strategy of when you buy them, you want to get early in, like the top 50, and then your value goes up. And if you're in the middle of the group,
Okay.
you're not as much. So there's a whole strategy around buying it,
Interesting.
NBA Top Shots.
Yep. Okay.
And similar strategies are done for artwork as well. Like you do a digital piece of artwork. You may not want to do one of one. You might want to do one of 10.
Right.
Um,
So I know we still got I know I cut you off in the middle of something there,
No,
but I'm
no.
just trying to visualize it as I
Yep.
think about it. As I'm building portfolios, and I grew up collecting cards and magazines and stuff like that. So, if you own NBA Top Shots, so you have a profile, I guess, and that's kind of your portfolio. Like
Yep.
you would keep your Top Shots in this portfolio. Is that how it works?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like
Okay.
you've got your
Okay.
own art gallery.
Got it. Okay.
If we have time, I can even show you mine. Because actually,
Okay.
it was worth $20,000 at one time at probably the height. I have about, I think I put down, I don't know, maybe $700 into it because there was
Okay.
just such a mania. It was impossible to get into these drops that
Sure.
they were doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
it was. It's
Awesome.
now worth about $1,500. So it's not really that good.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. But sorry, I cut you off as you're going into Dapper Labs. So maybe if I can bring you back to that.
Yeah, and I know I get ahead of myself when I assume certain people might know certain names or whatever. But I think the question was like, do you need a cryptocurrency to run
Yep.
NFTs? And it's more, the NFT is built on the blockchain. You do need crypto or some kind of currency to pay to mint something on the
Got it.
blockchain. So that's where you start paying something. That's how OpenSea makes their money as well.
Yep.
They're taking a cut. Usually with the minting fee, they might even have a cut in the sale of it as well. So they're doing it,
Okay.
in a lot of different ways there. But they're
Okay.
facilitating the marketplace for you to do it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they make it quite easy.
Yep. So I know we can keep going, but as I think about it, OpenSea, what's the security like? Has it, what's, like how hackable is it? I mean, what's the security like of that platform?
Good question. So like any new platform, and I'm in software, there's nothing that is unhackable out there from a platform. That's not the blockchain. This is just their platform, by the way, which is centralized. It's not. And usually it's where hackers usually try to do it. They try to get the users. They don't usually actually attack the system. They go into the system, and then they have you give up your keys, for example, because they think that it's a customer support person coming from OpenSea, and you get a text, and you think it's OpenSea, and then they give hey, can you give me your password into your MetaMask account? And all of a sudden it's done.
Got it.
So usually hacks happen because people, it's human failure usually. It's not usually the platform. Though the ransomware and those other ones have done had their impact. And yes, there are security risks on that. It is early days. If I always take people back to the early days of the internet and e-commerce sites, they got hacked all the time.
Sure.
But now you would say like, e-commerce fairly risk-free.
Yes. Right. Right.
So it's early days right now in the NFT markets.
Yeah. So it really is. I mean, we follow Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you know Gary.
Oh yeah.
But so obviously he's a big fan of the NFTs.
What's his NFTs called? The
VeeFriends.
VeeFriends. That's right.
Yeah. So it's an interesting idea that he's been selling. His VeeFriends, so you can go to his events and things like that, and those get sold quite frequently. It's such a kind of foreign concept still to think about it, and so as you talk here, more and more questions kind of pop up in my mind, and it's kind of multi-pronged, right? Because it's it's disruptive for business, it's a good investment idea, it's also a useful utility, and so there's so many things that it can be used for. So where do you think?
Can I give you? Sorry, I was just sorry to interrupt you there, Ben, because
go for it. You
use Gary Vee as an example, and I think this actually might help. There's you and Scott, but also the audience, a more real world example that Gary Vee is actually a part of. Okay, so Gary Vee is an extremely strong entrepreneur. He knows trends. Mark Cuban, same idea. These guys are all in on this, including a lot of other people. But Gary Vee, he has another company that he's went out and bought a restaurant or gotten into a restaurant, and he's selling the reservations to this restaurant. Okay, so if you can imagine Friday night at this restaurant, it's a top restaurant. He's selling the
Yeah.
top seats as an
Yeah.
NFT. Think of it like, seats
Yeah.
at a game, like, a Raptors game
Yeah.
or whatever. Okay, same idea.
Yeah.
You're selling out
Yeah.
inventory forward. So from the 7 to
Yeah.
9 spot on Fridays, as an example, you can go up
Sure.
and buy that NFT, and you can own it and say, hey, for the next 6 months, I'm going to buy it, and that's worth, and they put it up there for $1,000, for example. Okay.
Okay.
You buy it.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
that non-fungible token, I can give that
Yeah.
to Ben. Say, hey, I'm not in town. Hey, Ben, do you want my table? I can
Yeah.
give that to you. You can use that as an actual proof of ownership for that particular night, as an
Okay.
example. Okay,
You're
that's
right on.
worth
Yeah.
something, by the way, because I can go
Yes.
sell that on a secondary market if that's how Gary Vee chooses to put this, and saying like, hey, I want to actually profit from owning this prime table at this restaurant.
Yes.
A Friday night at
Yes.
7:00. So
Okay.
I just wanted to give you kind of like, just the creativity is off the charts for NFTs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Think about
Using
any
it like
industry.
that. Is that Resi? Is that Resi that he owns?
No,
Or
I
he
forget
sold
the
that, I
actual.
thought.
Yeah, but Open Table and Resi got to get their
Yeah.
act together, because they should be selling this concept into
Oh man.
into their restaurants, because imagine that. It's another revenue generator, guys. It's a whole new business model. Like, it's selling.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Think of YouTube, right? YouTube
Yeah.
came out. YouTube stars never been heard of before. Like, you can make $1 million
Yeah.
off ads per day or whatever it was. Like, some of these people are. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so this is just another revenue generator for a restaurant.
It's an amazing idea. And
What are-
as I
oh.
say, go ahead, Scott.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What are some of the other? Do you have any other good stories about good opportunities like that? Like, I'd never. I mean, everybody talks about the collectibles and whatnot.
Yeah, I
but
know.
Have you come across anything that's like super interesting that you hadn't maybe thought of, and that hit you like, oh man, other
Well,
people might not be thinking about that?
I personally, like, I mean, I'm a partner in NFT art, company. So I have an appreciation for art. I love it. I love the creativity of having digital art combined with physical art. So I like getting the actual digital and the physical at the same time. And I would love to have that displayed at my house, where I have the digital and the real side by side. But maybe the digital changes with time. So I love landscape art. So I'd love the
Okay.
digital to actually
Sure.
change at certain times. And again, this is where the
Right.
creativity comes in. But I think some of the things that I'm seeing, and personally seeing it through my company, is people doing product development by selling NFTs. So I can't give away certain names here, but
Sure.
there's companies that
Yeah.
are actually, they're coming out with a product in 2 years, and
Yeah.
they're selling their NFT around that product, and they have already an audience, and it's a very specific club. There's only 200
Sure.
of these items that are actually going to be created. It's a particular motor vehicle. They're going to sell an NFT to the owner of each one. They're going to sell their bikes, but they're going to have an NFT that's associated. And they're going to put a game around that, and they're actually going to collect information from those people that own the NFTs as well, because a poll can go out there on the NFT and say, hey, do you like the color blue for your particular vehicle or whatnot? And they can do all these different things, and they can put a game around that as well, which is that, they're going to put like sort of like a Formula One type of game involved
Sure.
there. And you can actually reward people, and they're going to have a token that's running in there as well. So that's just one example. Again, another one would be high-end brands. What a
Right.
great opportunity for them to sell forward and find a whole new audience. There's a
Yeah.
lot of rich crypto people out there that would love
Sure.
to own like a Rolex watch. Rolex doing something like a watch skin that you can own, that you can maybe even take it virtually into a game. Like,
Mhm.
holy cow. I mean, that'd be worth it. The other thing that's really, and there's a lot of, maybe ego, you could say, with this, is that if you bought, let's say, a watch skin that Mark Cuban owned, that value would go up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's, as I say, it's kind of, my mind's racing everywhere trying to think about where the opportunities are more than anything, right?
I know.
Sounds like the internet all over again, right?
It
Well,
really is. That's what we keep saying, right? Because we talk to more traditionalist finance people every day, right? So nobody wants to hear about this. It does seem like I remember when I was first getting into business 20 years ago, and I was calling people. I was doing outbound calls, outbound sales, and it was trying to get people's email address, and they didn't have them, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't believe in the internet 20 years ago, and now we can't live without it. I think
With the
we're
fax
in the
number.
same situation. Yeah, fax number. Yeah, exactly. I think we're in the same situation with this, right? Web 3.0 or whatever
Yep.
we want to call it, right? So it's happening. It's for us. We're we're looking for value everywhere. So it's like,
yeah,
what's next? Everything that you just described is what's next, but it's so high
yeah,
level at this point, right?
yeah.
It's hard to like pinpoint what's going to hit and what's not going to hit, right?
I'll give you one that's sort of associated into the financial markets because I mean, we haven't even touched upon decentralized finance, DeFi,
Yeah,
which is very interesting. But a part of
for sure.
DeFi, so non-fungible tokens, it sounds actually contrary to what I said. Like it is a unique digital certificate, but there's already
Yeah,
platforms that you can combine a LeBron James dunk and a piece of artwork and a piece of music that are all NFTs and combine them into one
yeah.
and almost make an ETF out of it. And there's value in it.
Okay,
And then people are fractionalizing that and they're selling that
okay.
up because they're seeing it as a digital asset and it's worth something. Each one of them is worth something on as an
Yeah,
asset. And so that those markets are already being built. They are already being built right now.
yeah, yeah.
And so it sounds crazy, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's an alternative asset, and the pace. Like, I mean, I started in this business in 2000, so I kind of remember like how tech was a little bit year before me, but the pace right now of
off the charts.
I mean, it's off the charts. It's off the
I mean,
charts,
I'm in it every day,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the amount of how fast this changes,
yeah,
and how many new protocols come out, and how many. It's actually it's the one thing that I think a lot of people miss when they see the volatility of Bitcoin or they see maybe a hack here and there is
yeah,
how quickly everything recovers. Like how
right,
quickly like it doesn't go down and how good the technology is. Like
right,
like a lot of this stuff is beta. Like Solana just had an issue, which is
mm,
called the Ethereum killer, and they had an issue. And you listen to
yeah,
the podcast with the people that actually were there. You go, well, we knew this was inevitable. This is going to happen. They go, this is beta, by the way. This is beta
right,
out there.
right,
But they've just
yeah,
put like billions dollars worth of transactions on it, and it's
yeah,
proving it out. But the tech is quite good. It's just you got a
yeah,
global community going at it. Like you
right,
never had that with the
right,
internet. The internet was a North American phenomenon. Was largely a North
yes,
American phenomenon.
yeah.
Very small amount of people. Plus, it was a government technology. This is
It
not a government
started it,
technology.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And all of this is happening in real time, 24/7, 365, where the kind of the stretch from where we are now, which is everyday financial markets, is where we kind of sit a big part of the time. There's lots of closed periods, lots of systems working behind the scenes. If there's something that breaks, there's fail safes to adjust. Where Solana and any of these others that have had issues, it never stops.
Yeah.
And that's got to be a testament, though, to the strength of the technology that they can adapt so quickly.
Yeah, and it's also the way the technology is built on the blockchain, which is flipping upside down the how technology has been built. Web 1.0 and 2.0 was largely
Yeah,
a software layer type of
yeah,
play. So the Facebooks, the Googles, all that. But with the
mhm,
blockchain, what 3.0 changes it. It's a large part about the protocol, the community behind that.
mhm,
Software, the decentralized apps are very, very important. The user interface and user experience is very important. But
yeah,
selling that app is not as important as sometimes is the technology underneath it, which is the blockchain, maybe the token that's running that. The,
sure,
I mean, I can't even get into the tokens. The creativity in the token space, and for governance to utility to rewards, it's you would be surprised about how easy it is to actually try and make money in the space once you start figuring it out.
Well, you're just going to have 100 job applications come in your way, I think, when we put this out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think as you talk, my mind's starting to think too is a little bit around, as I look at how this world is kind of adapting right now. You've had these big companies and, IBM and Alibaba, like these companies have been talked about for years, that they own all these blockchain patents and they have all the IP. Yet it seems that it's none of those companies. It's all independent startups, people outside of the business coming in with unique ideas and the unique platforms. Is that right? Or am I looking at it differently?
Not unlike, again, the early days, the internet was the same way. It wasn't the big companies. It was all the entrepreneurs. Okay. Partly it has to do with like how those companies are structured. Again, I've got the utmost respect for all the big companies, IBM, all the other ones, but they just can't move fast. They just can't.
Right.
And then they have risk too, which is shareholders. Like if they do a dumb move, like they get land-based in the on the media. Private companies and these small companies don't need to worry about that. They're likely sitting in the wings to go, I like that company, I'm going to snatch them up and use their technology, and it's going to look like IBM's technology. But I mean, this is what happened in the early days. Like Google bought DoubleClick. Their ad technology, it was DoubleClick. It wasn't Google. They just bought them, and that's really what their business model is about. Is their Google AdWords. That's why they're so successful. But it wasn't their technology; it was someone else's.
Sure. Yeah, and we haven't seen, at least I haven't seen on the outside looking in, I suppose, where you've had a lot of these companies being acquired yet. I mean, you've seen some of them. I mean, like you've seen Plaid try to be bought by Visa. Plaid kind of sits outside, though. You've seen, I guess, Circle be bought. So it's still kind of like super, super early in this part of the system. So I know so go ahead. Yeah.
So I was just going to say, part of the reason is because how fast and how easy it is to raise capital off a token, and not necessarily in North America. The SEC is very big on that, but other parts of the world where you can raise on a token, it is quite easy, and they're doing it in days to raise millions of dollars. And they're doing it extremely quick on how they're raising against the token. We're currently in situations where you can raise, non-dilutive capital from using the token, because people are buying the token, using that as a utility, and they use that utility. The company uses the money, but then the person uses the utility in it to use it in the system. And again, this is where it gets in the gray area with the SEC, because they start going, well, hey, the token went up in price, and so people were buying on speculation. So they're coming in, and the smartest people out there saying, come on in, like just give us the rules. Like don't keep on doing this guessing game here.
Yeah, so that's how you're kind of referencing like securities, what's a security, what's not a security. Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of schools of thought, right? The maximalists of the crypto world want everything to be decentralized, but if you want adoption, you need regulation, and so I would lean that way. It sounds like you probably would as well, where you need the rules.
You need the rules. We might not need a 1930 story about the Howey test, though. Like, can we change that up, please? Can we bring something into the 21st century? Owning orange trees, and come on.
Well, you got, I mean, you had Gary Gensler come in. I think the world was happy. Who's, Yeah, he was, ran a blockchain class at MIT. Everyone was expectant. He's the head of the SEC, expectant that he
Yeah.
would just kind of push things along, and he's come out with bit of an aggressive stance on it right now. But you're right. I mean, I think the pace of change, as we reference, and is so fast that they're not even in the right century to understand where it's at, and so we're early days in it. But I think as you kind of reference, is the world's going to move on without regulation, and the technology is going to evolve at the pace that it does. And I think what do you see how do you see this moving forward? And I know we've talked about art. I don't think we talked about music, but that would be interesting because I know that a lot of musicians have used this. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about how that might work. Then I have some other questions about
Yeah.
your thoughts around investable assets and stuff like that.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, current industries that are deploying NFTs,
Yep.
art we mentioned, gaming is absolutely off the chart, is perfect for this. Art has a physical component to it, so it's kind of hard to
Right.
wrap your head around, like, well, I can digitize
Yeah.
this, and like, where's the
Right.
physical piece go? But gaming,
Yeah. So that's a good question. Where's the physical piece go? Once you buy it, it gets delivered. Is that what
yeah,
happens?
yeah,
Okay.
a lot
Okay.
of times. But
Yeah.
then I forget the artist or did something brilliant. Is that it was a well-known artist, Shinzi, I think. I can't remember. What he did is that he produced a digital representation of their art piece, and he asked the person, "Which one do you want?" And I'll burn one of them. So he actually physically
Okay.
would burn the artwork and see which one would go in value more. And it was like an incredible test. And it
Wild.
goes with the burning comment of, like, burning a token, burning
Yes.
tokens themselves. So, um,
Sure.
but
Cool.
going back to gaming is
Yeah.
the easiest place, and that is where you've got a lot of young people with a disposable income.
Sure.
There's already games like Axie Infinity where you can actually play a game and you get
Yeah.
paid to play it. Okay.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
get paid in their tokens. I forget the Axie Infinity token. So you can actually play a
Okay.
game, you level up, and you get tokens for this. You can take those
Okay.
tokens and you can go to their marketplace and buy things on that marketplace. So just think of like I got an RBC Avion card. I get enough
Yeah.
points, I can go take a flight or I can buy luggage with that same idea. They're just doing it within this ecosystem and they're paying with rewards. So
Okay.
just giving you that it's
Yeah.
so nascent, but that industry is just, they're all over it. They're already doing it. Fortnite, you're buying V-Bucks to
Sure.
buy a skin. Now that's not on the
Yeah.
blockchain, but it's
Yes.
already kind of current to have a currency within these games.
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah.
Well, and they're starting to sell real estate in some of these metaverses too, right? You can
Decentraland and
buy, yeah,
okay,
brands are putting up stores within the metaverses. Like,
yeah,
you can see, like, 10 years ago they had these things, right? Like, what was it? It was Second Life or something like that.
Second. Yeah.
Uh, but it really wasn't. You could do those types of things, but really hadn't caught on. But if you look how kids interact now,
Mhm.
like you have kids, it would be nothing for them to create their own avatar. They can be who they want. It's like the movie Ready Player One, right? You've seen that
just gonna
movie.
suggest that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you've seen that movie, it's like, okay, that makes sense based on the way that our kids interact right now. That makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. How
Mhm.
they're gonna buy things in their metaverse, right? They're gonna be who they
Yeah.
want to be, interact. They're gonna meet friends all around the world. It's basically happening now.
I'm going to explain something that is already happening right now. There is an Axie Infinity player right now that is taking their rewards and converting it into their token of Axie Infinity, and they're
Yeah.
taking that token and they're uh, putting that over, transferring that over to their MetaMask wallet, and then they're
Yeah.
going to put that on their Crypto.com credit card, where
Okay.
they convert their Axie Infinity token into, let's call it maybe a stablecoin USDC, and
Okay.
they send it over to Crypto.com and they use their credit
Yeah.
card to pay for a cup of coffee with those
Okay.
rewards points. that is happening today.
Yeah.
It blows
Wow.
people's minds saying, wait, I played a video game and I can actually buy a cup of coffee with that. It's happening.
Buy stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
Mind blown. Mind
yeah.
blown.
So
I'm
not
Googling
sleeping
Axie
tonight,
Infinity
definitely.
right now.
yeah, it's incredible. The Philippines in Southeast Asia, it is enormous. There's people because they're living on a couple bucks a day. They're making way
Sure.
more money playing these games.
Yeah.
Again, it's like Ready Player One. It is a lot like that.
Yeah.
But some of the other industries that are really big into this as well, hospitality and events. You can see this
Yeah.
coming on there. Just ticketing is a really big one. You
Sure.
you were mentioning maybe companies to invest in. Humble, which is HUMBL. They just came out with a payment platform, but they're very blockchain focused. But they just came out with an NFT marketplace, and they're also they bought a company that was event ticketing, and so they are going to get heavy into the event, the NFT event ticketing.
Okay.
So that, and they're a public company. And then coming up, like I mentioned, this is going to take time, but finance is going to have to get their act together. Financial asset management. If you own shares in a particular company or an asset, they're all going to be digitized. Like right now,
Yes.
it does not make sense for people to have these filed away in a file folder somewhere, or having an asset company managing these things. It should be in your wallet on your phone. You should be able to just go, yep, here it is. That's my stock right there.
Yeah.
It's connected to your digital identity, which we really don't have right now, but we will.
Yes.
Yes. And you should also own your health records, which should be an NFT as well. It should be all right on your phone. Again, and I just had this the other day where I had to have my MRI sent from one place to my chiropractor. And I said, can you just send me the file? And they go, no, we have to send it via fax. And I went, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Everybody's had that pain, but your health record is an NFT. It's a unique record of something for me, for my back. And it's just like, why don't I just own that on my phone? It is a digital representation.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Jeff. Like, we manage people's portfolios. We sit in the middle of what are you trying to say?
No, but
I'm gonna start playing video games.
Yeah, that's it. I'm quitting.
But this is the opportunity
right now.
Scott, this is your opportunity, which is that when you know what's coming up, and it's not, guys, this isn't overnight for especially the healthcare and financial markets are the hardest things to change. So this isn't overnight, and the regulars and the big guys are all going to get their money. They're all going to figure out their way to make money from this.
Well, and that's how we're looking at it too. It's like, how do we get out front of it, and how do we bring our knowledge of this? I mean, we're one of the first advisors to really even be talking about this. So, how do we get out in front of this to bring more value to our current clients, right? Because it is going to change, but how do we get ahead of I think for most advisors, if they try to fight it, they're going to lose. If they try to figure out how to get into it and provide more value to the clients, are the ones that are going to win, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but part of it is just getting in and doing it yourself and understanding it. When you actually just go in and buy $1,000 of Bitcoin, and then you when you send it to your MetaMask wallet, like you see that instant transfer and you go, whoa, okay, there's no third party in here. Like, it's a little bit like when you got a knee transfer of money back in the late 90s. You were going like, I don't know, where did the money go? It's the same idea, but the thing is, there's no third party. So you got this little bit of queasy moment, but then you go, whoa, what can I purchase on this? Because the MetaMask wallet can just be out there to buy Axie Infinity. You can go into the game and connect your MetaMask wallet and basically buy merch and whatnot. So that's, I would not worry about your industry. Just stay ahead of it. Don't try to be, the people that stick their heads in the ground saying this, it's going to be the same way because this has always been the way, are going to lose, unfortunately.
Yeah,
you guys are way
finance. Ahead. Yeah, we are. I mean, finance has been losing market share. I mean, mean, I think that that is certainly a risk. We are paying a lot of attention to it, looking to see where the opportunities are. Obviously, I'm very interested in kind of on the crypto side where the utility is. I mean, the Circle going public is interesting for sure.
It's big.
So yeah, I think so. So I think there's lots of opportunities. We're trying to stay ahead of it for sure. I think the real estate one, which could really change that business as well. Um, and as we've talked about Raoul Pal, we all know him pretty well and spent a lot of time watching that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's one of
Raoul
my
really
faves.
talks about kind of that future world where the kind of the future jobs are, and that I think is really interesting too, because a lot of the things you referenced there, that kind of that metaverse and where people are going to live and transact. Um, I think the biggest issue we run into when I talk to people from an investment perspective is the security continues to be that one that they sit on, right?
Mhm.
Particularly the Canadians, they trust their Canadian banks. So, I mean, that
They
security
don't know
one,
how often they get hacked, by the way.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
That and I know their answer is
uh,
that's all right. It's all insured, right? And I'm going, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, up
yeah,
until a
it's
certain
still
amount.
costing. Yeah, it's costing somebody money. So how does I mean, how do you kind of alleviate? I mean, I know you've talked about the security a little bit on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Like, how do you alleviate some people's kind of fear that the security is different? I know there's kind of that inherent banks are safe versus this is risky. Like the maybe what's the security like? I know you'd reference that they're pretty safe now, but how would you kind of help me a little bit kind of understand that?
Yeah. So again, like for a crypto native, someone that does this a lot,
Yeah.
and by no means am I like, there's people that I know in my circle that are like they are living and breathing like they're basically day traders. Um,
Yes.
and you can follow certain trends there, but keeping things safe.
Mm.
What what you're doing right now is you're spreading your risk across a couple platforms. You might have some of your investment or money in MetaMask, for example, but you might actually have it in cold storage. You might actually have it off in a wallet that is offline.
Hmm.
There's like I think it's the Razor is a offline. It's just basically a hard drive that has all
Yeah.
your. You hear a lot of people that they had like, you know, um, 5 Bitcoin on
Yeah.
a hard drive somewhere, and they can't find it anymore because it was in cold
Yes. Yes.
storage. Um,
Right.
so there is ways of distributing this out there. Now, for a person that's trying to get into this, there are pretty solid exchanges.
Yeah.
The Coinbase.com.
Hmm.
Coinbase is it's probably the easiest one to use. It's probably the
Hmm.
most promising one. Just people just go like, hey, they also, I think, have an insurance product on them. I think.
Okay.
And so Coinbase, CoinSquare is also a very solid one. That's a Canadian one.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, those are two that I would say, and they're pretty safe
Yeah.
from the standpoint that when you have your balance there in the currency, again, you just have to worry about the scams that are going to come at you.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would be more worried about those.
Fair
Um,
enough.
I don't like having mine on exchanges, to be honest, because
Sure.
a lot of times, they say it's like not your keys, not your crypto.
Right.
Um,
Right. Still
so I like having it
companies.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you can have the
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
big brother come in there saying, "Yeah, don't like that." Kind of like gold back in the 1930s. Yeah, don't like you to have that gold.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think that Canada's been interesting because they've done a pretty good job. First they were open to Bitcoin and Ethereum trading on the exchanges. And recently the OSC's come out, as you know, and said, if you want to be in Canada, you need to follow the rules. So obviously a lot of them, including Binance, has chosen to leave because they didn't want to follow the Canadian rules. But there are certainly some companies that are complying with what the OSC has been asking for, and those would be higher on the list for sure.
Yep.
Sorry, were you gonna say something?
No,
Yeah,
I do like it. I every once in a while I catch a little bit of, Big Brother coming down there. I tried to, just, what was it? 6 months ago, I was sending money from my RBC account to CoinSquare, and it said can't send you. I couldn't use my credit card anymore. And I said, like,
okay,
what? That's my money in there. Like,
yeah,
I should be able to
Yeah.
use this. Why can't I use this? And I
yeah,
couldn't send money from my bank account. I was going like,
okay,
wait, that's my money. I can use it the way I want. They go, well, there's this whole crypto thing here. We don't know what that is. And they did not give me any reason either. Like I said,
yes,
can you put me in contact with the manager? I want to just understand
yeah,
the reasoning behind
yes.
this. He goes, well, this is our official notice, and that's all we're going to say about it. Too bad.
Did they change or no? They wouldn't let you do it.
Yeah, it did change. It changed
Okay,
back that I can actually do it, but there was a
okay,
period there that, again,
okay,
I just think they're way
interesting.
behind it. And they might have watched the documentary on Silk Road and said, "Oh no!" Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I tend to make fun of just people that are. I do respect regulators. I just find that they
Of
just
course.
take so damn long, and with
Speed,
stuff
yeah.
that's changing.
CoinSquare now has to report to Revenue Canada too, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's any accounts over 20,000 or something.
Oh, I wonder
They
how they're
have
going
to
to pay for all
report
this
to Revenue Canada.
COVID-19,
Yeah,
spending they've been doing.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. So we've definitely covered a lot of super amazing, interesting things. I mean, I think this is going to blow a lot of people's minds around how the world can and will change. Is there anything you think that you'd like to wrap with that I didn't ask you that I should have been asking you as we went through this meeting?
No, I mean, we covered a lot. I mean, I could talk all day on this topic because
Sure.
the stuff that I do see every day, it is a little bit like Ready Player One. It is a little frightening. No, it's not virtual reality necessarily, but the
Yes.
creativity, the minds that are working in this,
Yeah.
the talent. And again, this is global. This is 24/7. This is very different than the internet in the early days, and it's not going to stop. And like Bitcoin was the proving of something
Sure.
that, and it has never been hacked. It's an
Yes.
amazing piece of technology. But the blockchain is the thing,
Right.
behind it, and
Right.
it's gonna unfortunately disrupt a lot of people because, to be honest, a smart contract can replace a lot of people in what they do in their
Sure.
daily jobs. There's a lot of
Yeah.
redundancy out there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I mean, I think that when I listen to this, and some people may listen from the outside, and I think when I first saw it too, I was like, that's kind of depressing. But then when you think about the new industries that it can start from this, the new jobs, the new careers, the new potential is off the charts. So I think that's the one thing that
They said the same thing about the internet. They said, what's going to happen? Like, all these jobs are going to be replaced, and create a whole new industry, and we got a whole new layer of technology that you never would have thought was going to happen.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be some disruption. There's going to be some people that are, I think people have to ask themselves, like, okay, am I doing something that is redundant that a computer or a smart code can do? And if the answer is yes, then you might want to actually look around and inform yourself about something, because it's the one thing that smart contracts or AI cannot replace is creativity. Yeah, there is some creativity, but that is a hard thing to do. Customer service, knowing people, knowing yourself, all those different things. Those are things that will never be replaced by a machine. But if you're in a job where it's just pushing paper, it's going to be a tough one to hold on to that.
For sure, absolutely.
For sure.
Scott, was there anything else you think you had any other questions
Not
on
really.
besides 100?
My mind's blown, and I have all kinds of plans for our little picture there, Ben. Right? So that's what that was the whole point of this thing, is I just didn't know what to do with it. And
Yeah.
Well, yeah, why don't we wrap it up by Jeff, why don't you, if people are interested in
Sure.
learning more about you and what you do, why don't you give us some places people can look, whether it be websites, Twitter handles, smoke signals, whatever, however you want people to reach out, why don't you let them know?
Well, I mean, the easiest place, and I don't mind giving my email out there and getting some people that listen to this. So it's just really Jeff at troontechnologies.com. And so that's Troon spelled TROON technologies.com. You want to know the reason for Troon is it's a famous golf place in over in the UK. And so
Yep.
that's pretty much it. So that's the easiest way there.
Awesome.
I'm on Twitter a bit there through the nowware .io handle there. But
Okay.
most of my communications through email with everybody.
Fantastic. Yeah, awesome. Good. Well,
Okay,
I've
that's it.
definitely enjoyed the time, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thanks for being so open and explaining where your thoughts are and where we're going.
Yeah, Ben, Scott, really appreciate the questions, the enthusiasm, and yeah, happy to discuss more.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. We'll see you next time.